My name is 𝗘𝗵𝗂𝗏 and I am a student of 𝗣𝗚 batch 19 and it's my pleasure to welcome you back. To kick off this segment, we are honored to have Mr. Anurag Srivastava from partner PwC, where he leads the industrial development investment promotion platform. With over 18 years of experience, including a distinguished tenure at Indian Administrative Services, Mr. Srivastava has played a vital role in shaping industrial policy, promoting investment, and driving large-scale initiatives like Bengal Business Summit. Let's welcome Mr. Anurag Srivastava to share his insights.
A very good morning to all of you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Professor Jaiswal, IIM Calcutta, all the distinguished speakers here for inviting me. It's a privilege to be here, talk to you, try to say what I think of resilient manufacturing, what I feel of the sector, what I think are the prospects of the sector. I'm also here to learn from you. In today's age, as we move along, information is not something which is prerogative that you read a book, you deep dive into something, and then it's your prerogative. We all learn from each other, we all have ideas, and it's easier to find information in today's age. So today, let me say that although we name it as a keynote lecture, but I want this to be interactive. Please feel free to add anywhere. I would like to seek your inputs, how you feel about it, how you think that the sector is shaping up. About me, as you heard, that I studied mechanical engineering from IIT Kanpur, then worked in Indian Administrative Service for 16 years, then again switched, now I'm in consulting for 2 years. So certainly I'm not a specialist in any area, but I certainly had, you can say, experiences across different domains, different verticals. And now today, from last 2 years, I have been working in manufacturing. So these are the perspectives, these are my perspectives, these are my, you can say this is my view on how I think this sector can shape up. Of course, you will be the leaders of tomorrow, you will be the people leading the manufacturing sector, different companies, different institutions, and you will be deciding how the fate of India grows. So we did discuss about the macro aspect. We did discuss about the macro aspect, that how India may shape up, how you can say manufacturing sector. But let's now come to a micro aspect. For a factory owner today, and we talk about manufacturing as a sector and different verticals and all, but leave everything aside. Now we talk of a factory owner. Think that you are a factory owner and you are in today's India, today in 2025, different things happening. So what will be your worries? What do you think that manufacturing, and you have a small plant, what are your, you can say, inputs, worries, prospects, what do you think? I was audible, right, before this?
Yes.
So, you can cheat from there, but I would like to hear from you. What do you think? What should a factory owner worry about today? And I certainly expect more than what is written there.
Sir, the right data to do any sort of analysis.
Right data, whether I should invest in this or not, whether I am getting an ROI or not. Great data. And
The market trends.
market trends. So everybody says that India is growing, and today we are at, let's say, 3.5, 3.7 trillion. We will be 25 trillion, 30 trillion, and it will be 10 times. But from a micro perspective, a person, let's say, is producing a machine. Will she or he be 10 times? This you need to understand. And
Sir, R&D.
R&D. So are we improving? And we say that India is great in manufacturing. But are we really the best? Are we meeting the quality standards? Are we producing something which world wants at the best price? So this has to be thought. And
Sir, right now, like technology is disrupting so fast. So if I'm going to invest, I will think that till how much time I will be relevant to the market. Should not be my investment should get obsolete in
yes,
a short period.
Very true. And many people are not investing because they think that tomorrow, 4 years later, this product may not at all be needed. So it's changing very fast. That uncertainty is there. And so I think we covered most of this. Another thing may be that how to increase productivity, and of course India has been a protectionist market. We hear about tariffs, we hear about different things. but am I productive enough? And when I compete and when I grow, am I productive enough? I can't just compete, I just can't grow 10 times with the same productivity. Labor uncertainty is there, then we hear all these things, and as we come along, it looks nice, IoT and digital twins, and it looks very nice to talk about it. But devil lies in details. What IoT this person should do? Can this person who has, let's say, turnover of 100 CR, 200 CR actually think of a digital twin? And should he use AI and all? So I'm sure that everybody will raise hand, but how many of you have used AI in any shape or form? Let's say ChatGPT, Grok, whatever. Almost everybody, right? And a giveaway, I think most of the people would have got it. This presentation is entirely generated by AI. So all of us use it. All of us use it. But for the person, should she or he buy an enterprise version? And it's good for generating an email. It's good for generating, let's say, a presentation like this. But is it good enough to give the insights whether after 10 years my product will be relevant or not? So that uncertainty is there. ESG again is something which is like challenging and changing everything. For example, Europe, all of you know that Europe has that carbon border adjustment mechanisms which is bringing in certain aspects. So slowly they will put in non-tariff barriers which will basically increase the cost of the product based on the carbon, you can say, emission that it is doing. So how do they think of that? These are the different things that a person would be thinking, and then he also has some questions. So can she or he compete globally? As India grows, whether domestically they can compete and whether they will be able to compete with, let's say, Vietnam, Indonesia, maybe replace China. Can they do that? So can he do that? This is the thought. Will tech replace, as we heard, that whether this product will at all like exist also or not, or will technology totally replace and change it? Then we talked about ESG, and then it's not that everything is optimistic. For macro perspective, of course, India is growing, but then change is always, you can say, change comes with its own pain points, and people and industries will vanish. So is there something to be optimistic about for this particular industry or not? And then regulatory burden. We talk different things, we talk about multiple things, but you ask any entrepreneur who is doing business in India, how easy it is to do business in India compared to, let's say, globally. Of course, we compare 20 years before what we were, what we are today. We have improved, we have certainly improved. But are we at global standards? Have we improved the ease to an extent? And we talk about GST and we talk about new reforms that have come up. But are we really at a, let's say, global level, are we really doing this ease of business? So all these things this person will be thinking about. Now, we have said this, now let us take him on a journey, and it's just dreaming. My guess is as good as yours. You can think that how India will shape up, and we all think that we'll go only in the right direction. But let us take him on a journey, let us try to convince him what she or he should do today and can do today to like sustain in this market, to sustain in 2047 when we say in 100 years, India is going to change and manufacturing is going to change. So let's imagine 2047 and also think what this person should do, what this person should start doing from today. Now again, you can cheat from there, but why manufacturing matters at all? Why should India be bothered about manufacturing? Why this special focus on manufacturing?
In the future, it can highly contribute to our GDP.
Service sector is contributing to GDP, has been contributing in a better manner.
But if you see the trend of the world, it's a great chance to make India a better manufacturer. What we are before, what we can go later. So there's a better chances are there.
How? We have always done better in services. We are known for software. We are never known for making best machines.
Yeah, but if you see the right now in terms of GDP percentage, contribution of manufacturing is around 12 to 14%. If 12 to 14% is there, it means chances are there to grow again. And recently you have seen in terms of software development and services job, what India is doing right now. If AI and some artificial anything is disrupt that market, there is only chance that manufacturing can manage those GDP contribution.
Okay, I take this with a pinch of salt. I accept your point to a certain extent, but I also say that improving services may be a notch easier than improving manufacturing, because for manufacturing you need to build roads, you need to improve your port, you need to make industrial parks, you need to give huge investment. Whereas services, you can do that at a lesser investment, but still okay, point taken. And again, you think you are basically saying that manufacturing, you want this to, because you are wondering that maybe service sector percentage may go down. But 𝗍𝗃𝗃 never says that services will go down. 𝗍𝗃𝗃 always says that service sector will remain there. What we actually want is we want to pull out people from agriculture and push them in manufacturing. Anyways, this point taken. Others, why manufacturing is important?
Scope of downstream value addition is more in manufacturing.
Scope of downstream value addition is more in manufacturing. So one job in manufacturing creates more downstream job 2.5 to 3x than services. And coming to a related point, what is the population of India? 1.4 billion roughly we talk about. Can services give all of them jobs? No.
No.
If a country like India has to provide jobs, they have to focus on manufacturing. Because manufacturing does provide more jobs compared to what services does. And what else?
So it's self-reliance. The speaker earlier every job created in manufacturing, one job, they create another 2 jobs in other sectors. Maybe services. So that way overall everybody will get engaged by going into manufacturing.
No, perfect, sir. So, job, of course, one job will create 3 jobs in manufacturing downstream. That is much more. So, from employability perspectives, manufacturing is important. And
So based on what you said about that in the manufacturing, in order to have the manufacturing, you need to also have the roads and the infrastructure built around it. But whereas if you want to create a new services company, that is not necessarily required. And that itself is the growth in terms of the growth of overall India as well. Because as we have seen, Bangalore has more potholes than the IT companies that are there in Bangalore. Because again, it's an entirely services-based city, and there is not much that the local government does in order to improve the living standards over there in the city. But if it's in the manufacturing, then we can have more development, more
so
infrastructure.
agreed. When we talk of development, basically we can't think of a country which claims itself to be developed without its manufacturing to be developed, because of course it's all, you have to develop that. Very valid point. Anything else?
Sir, we need to reduce the dependency on imports.
Fair point. We need to, but why we need to? Because you were studying in IIM Calcutta, and we always had that thing, okay, competitive advantage. So you should do only where you are good. If we are good in services, we should continue to do that, and we will always have the money to buy at a cheaper cost. So of course it's a point, but
So due to uncertainties in this geopolitics conditions, day by day, yes.
okay. So why should we think about manufacturing?
In manufacturing, we have more chances to innovate. And as long as we don't innovate, we would somehow become obsolete somewhere, because if we have more chances for innovation.
Okay. So let me also come here and taking cue from the development point itself. India has an ambition to be a global power. You cannot be a global power if you are producing things yourself as well, because any fine day, US or Russia may say that we are not going to sell you planes anymore. You can make all the softwares you want, but you produce and even in today, the best engines for, let's say, defense products or different things, we are quite far behind. In fact, our technology is 30-40 years behind in multiple precision things. So even to have an aspiration to become a developed country, and we talk of 𝗍𝗃𝗃 2047, it's an important thing. You should be able to produce at global standards, because one fine day we heard that geopolitically some countries may say, no, sorry, we won't, because critical minerals, the chief guest talked about critical minerals, and when China has to pull lever of the world, it says that, sorry, I'll not supply you critical minerals, and now best of luck with your EV vehicles, best of luck with your batteries. So these are the points why manufacturing is important, and government has realized it. Urbanization again is something which is important, because it helps the concept of urbanization. You can plan better cities, and with infrastructure and roads that we talked about, it helps that. Of course, it's a job multiplier we have. And now coming to, again, let's now look at some numbers. We are roughly 3.7 trillion economy today, and manufacturing sector we have 12, 14, 17, so it's around $600 billion. Whereas agriculture is 18% of GDP and has 45% of workforce, services has 53%, but only 33% roughly work in the services sector. So we see that right now the maximum number of jobs is provided by agriculture, and probably these are also not the good right kind of job as well. It's probably disguised unemployment that agriculture is having. And manufacturing does have potential, but still we are not providing the jobs to the scale that we expect manufacturing should. It's providing only 12% of jobs today. And let us compare it with 1991. Numbers always look, when you compare, you suddenly feel, oh, what has happened? So compare Indian economy. It was 330 billion and now it is 3.7 trillion. We are almost 10 times in this period. We have grown 10 times and this world understands. Similarly, in manufacturing, it has been 8 times increase. So we were saying that manufacturing will grow, but India has already shown, even when manufacturing was not doing best, services was doing much better. Manufacturing has shown 8x growth since 1991. But share in GDP is almost 10. What has happened is India's growth basically has been brought in last 30 years by services sector, not by manufacturing. Share has, for manufacturing, the share has remained almost constant. Let us compare it with China today. China is 17.5 trillion. Its manufacturing share is almost touched. When it peaked, I think it was at 31-32%. Now it's around 29. Employment, almost 28% people are provided employment. Services sector provides them 48% employment. And another very interesting fact is that, service sector in China, if you compare with their GDP, provides more employment. Not so in India. Why? Tell me why it happens that service sector, if you compare the GDP, the percentage employed in China in service sector is more. Whereas in India, our service sector does not provide that amount of employment. Why?
Because China builds most of the apps for themselves. They are banned the Western apps. So the application development, as per that, the gaming development and the innovation has increased in China because of the barriers that has been put by the US.
Okay, one point. It does a lot of things itself. One point.
Other than IT sector, we employ only qualified people, mainly if we see that computer science engineers, and we can't employ all classes of jobs in the IT sector. But in manufacturing, that can be done.
So very true. And extending, what happens? What is service sector? All kinds of services. But what service sector grew in India? We were doing softwares. We were doing maybe BPO. We were doing processing. We were not doing all kinds of services because normally how economy prospers, you do agriculture very well, then your manufacturing starts picking up, and then your service sector comes and you have multiple services that you. In India's case, we jumped it. We did not improve manufacturing. Suddenly we opened the economy and service sector. Also in service sector, IT sector started doing very well. Not everything. Whereas in China, it's also, the service sector growth is also led by manufacturing because these large industries which started coming up, they needed different kind of services, and it was a more organic growth. Whereas in India's case, we jumped a step. We started doing well in services, but we were not doing it. Now,
maybe their agri is highly advanced. So maybe that manpower services.
That is true, sir, but service should also offer job. In India, we may have a lot of manpower which is willing to move, but our service sector will not, because everybody cannot work in the IT sector. So that's a point. But now, let me come back and ask you a question. Okay, I think we have discussed it, but why service sector? But we can revise. Why after 1991, what happened that service sector started booming, but other things did not? What happened in 1991?
So we had people that can speak English.
The liberalization, we opened up the economy. We opened up the economy, and then why service sector picked up?
So we had English
we are looking for country where the things can be done at low cost. So we provide low cost labor, like our service industry. So like China, they developed their own manufacturing facilities and they were giving services for those things. India, normally outsourcing happens. US companies comes to India and they outsource their not primary tasks, like customer thing they gave us to India.
Well, point taken, but it was easier to do. So when I wanted you to do a BPO service for my thing, it was easier for you to set up a shop in Bangalore because you just needed an internet connection, maybe a building, some space, English. This was there in India. Whereas if I asked you to manufacture a part of my engine, you can't, because then you have to ship it, make it, get raw material, technology is needed, different things. You could not do that. You could do the service sector part. That's why it grew very well. and it started doing perfectly fine. But now, when we, so these are the things that we see. Why it lagged in the past? There were few industrial parks or zones, there were poor roads, ports, logistics, low access to capital, tech skill. It all took time. From in 1991, these things were not there. If you want to set up a factory, you cannot just set up there. Most of the unicorn founders, and especially in India, and most of these things are tech driven, because tech you can start. You can have 5 people who find a tech, you find. Whereas if you want to set up, let's say, a manufacturing base, not everybody can do that. You need capital for that, you need technology for that, you need skilled manpower for that. Much more preparation is needed. And we missed that. Now, why the time is now? Why everybody says, and I'm saying, why now? What has happened now? Because in 30 years, many people have capital now. We have grown and we have worked. Now there are industrial parks, now there are policies, now countries are willing to invest in us. Now we have realized what was the problem. So the time is coming now. And now government also has an impetus. Government wants manufacturing to grow, and for the reasons we discussed before. What wasn't possible in the 90s is now urgent, and above that also achievable. It was not achievable in 1991 because there were multiple steps which we needed to prepare for doing manufacturing. China was doing its preparation from way back. So China was doing skilling its manpower. China was already preparing its industries in a much better manner. We were not doing that homework before we opened its economy. So today we are almost ready to do that. Now what is government doing? Before I come to this, we discussed about service sector, and somebody was saying that you needed a BPO service, you shifted things here. So just a question, and this definition, I'm not sure is there a perfect definition or not, but I always try to understand. How many of you have heard the name of GCCs? GCCs. All of you? Explain what is the difference, what is GCC and how is it different from a BPO?
Captive offshoring. They are setting up their subsidiary in India. It's exactly like captive offshoring.
Okay.
In case of GCC, they are considering it like an investment center. Considering the huge talent pool in India, they are considering it literally like from service model. If you look at the service model initiative, it is becoming an investment center.
Service model to investment center. Perfectly fine. Your answer is correct. Anybody would like to add on that?
So it's a sugar-coated BPO.
I think GCCs are much more comprehensive than doing a single service or
Right, I agree. Not actually a sugar-coated BPO, not exactly that.
Sir, in case of GCC, we could say there is a small difference because GCC start with engineering services, later on they extend to procurement services, and these services bring the business in India, like creating the supply network and other things.
Agreed. And I will give you a cue. GCCs did not start in 1991. Few did actually, but not. Now everybody is talking only of GCC. You will rarely hear a word BPO now. Nobody talks about BPO. In fact, even BPOs are now called GCCs. But the major word is GCC, and I'll tell you, it's basically what he said. It's Global Competency Center. So world has realized that there is competency in India. There are skilled manpower, and so earlier what people were doing, earlier what BPO was doing, I need my customer care, and I don't want my customer care to be in US. It will be outsourced to India, and you just need to call. You are just only doing that. In GCCs, actually, you are adding value. Let us say there is an engineering design. You have a product, but you want to make its engineering drawing. That you offshore to India because you know that engineers are available in India, PhDs are available in India at a lesser cost. So it's a competency that is being outsourced. But of course, these are terms and jargon. So today everything is called GCC. Today even BPOs are being called GCC. But private, and this changed because we have come far. We are not where we were in 1991. We are today here. So now, what is government doing? I have written PLI scheme. What is full form of PLI? Okay. What is it?
Based on certain specific volume which a particular production unit produces in an annual year, government is going to release additional funds to them. But it has to be backed by investments in CAPEX from the factory side. Then they should also be doing specific numbers of value addition each year to meet the criteria for PLI, like growing from 30% value addition to 60%, then eventually further. and it has to be supported by long-term goal aligned with the government policies.
Great. So, perfect answer. What we are doing is, we are calling it performance linked. Basically, we want value addition to increase, production to increase, manufacturing to increase in India. How many sectors we are doing it? PLI schemes in how many sectors? 14. So we have PLI schemes in 14 sectors. These sectors are identified by government because government feels that in India, one, these sectors are important. Second, if we try to work, these sectors will improve. Now, examples, again, you can cheat from there. Where has it worked? PLI scheme, where has it worked? Electronics.
Energy.
Energy, I'm not sure.
Highest in electronics.
Advanced chemicals and
Okay, you tell. I don't know the success story. It's not much talked about.
So GSM to energy, because of the sustainability and everything, they have been investing heavily into the wind energy sector, and now they are going to manufacture their own wind turbine blades as well.
Okay.
So they are trying to.
And they took PLI scheme for that.
Yes.
They took the PLI.
Great. Mobiles we talked about, and mobile Foxconn everybody talks about. Apple. So even I think today there was a article that most mobile users, Apple users in US today are using, at least this year, who bought mobile phones made in India. So that became a good success story, huge success story. Similarly, air conditioners. Air conditioners became a big success story in India. And electric vehicles has been, it has done some very well, but I am not sure we can still call it a success story because scheme was fraught with some issues, but yeah, before we were not doing anything in EVs, but with the scheme, when PLI scheme came, and these are studied, so government studied that when you manufacture, let's say anything in China or maybe even in Indonesia or Vietnam, what is the advantage that you have? So government tries to offset that. It tries to offset that I will offset this kind of amount, and it will make your product competitive in the global world as well. So multiple, in these 14 sectors we started doing, and more than 2 lakh crores were committed. Now there was something called ease of doing business as well, and we jumped multiple places in PODB ranking. World Bank comes up with this ranking which finds that how difficult or easy it is to do business in India. And we jumped multiple places. I think we were from 142, we improved to 63rd. GST came, banking resolutions came, labor code reform took place. Of course, much is to be done, but it came. Then there was an infrastructure pipeline. So when we were talking about what is happening in industrial parks, what is happening in, let's say, ports, there's a scheme called Gati Shakti. What is Gati Shakti? Gati Shakti, how many have heard the name? Great. What is Gati Shakti?
To build the logistic corridor, so where we can transport our material easily. That is a part of Gati Shakti Yojana.
Okay. More?
Connecting industrial hubs to the port.
Okay. So if I have to define Gati Shakti, I'll say basically it's just a geospatial platform where you plot everything and try to use technology to plan and see bottlenecks, especially in infrastructure sector, logistics sector, and do your development accordingly. So when I was in the government, we were given the task of plotting everything, geo coordinates of everything. A road is being constructed, a railway line is there, a forest is there. You plot everything on, let's say, geospatial maps, and then do your planning accordingly. So now next time you have to plan a road, you should see where the choking point is most, from which place maximum roads or cargo goes, which are the choke points. So your investment is in a better manner and you can plan it. Also you know that I should plan my road in this manner so that no forests come in between, no railway line comes in between. So it's basically a planning tool, but primarily aligned towards logistics and infrastructure growth. So government is serious. Government is serious in doing away the problems that industry was facing. We have more than 2 trillion rupees worth of industrial projects that are coming up. We have strategic focus areas primarily of PLIs, but EVs, semiconductors, green hydrogen. And there is also interesting, so now I'm coming here. So we have multiple versions of hydrogen, right? Green hydrogen, blue hydrogen. So anybody would like to define that? And you will have to wait. I can't wait. I continue to forget. Every time I grab it and I forget it. What is green hydrogen? What is brown hydrogen? What is... Anyone?
green hydrogen is completely manufactured from the renewable energy.
Renewable. You need to have a renewable source also to produce green hydrogen. Correct.
Whereas the vice versa is the blue is you can use the existing resource to make the hydrogen to power the renewable product.
I'll take your word for it, I don't remember. But
So
I think, yes.
It's either, if it is not green, then it is blue.
Yeah,
But the hydrogen is the same.
Yeah, the industry is transitioning from the blue to blue and then blue to green. But the future is green, and green is very costly.
Green is very costly. Even
More than
today
6
we are
months of
even
investment.
today we are struggling. So even today the efforts of the government to actually set up serious green hydrogen plants have not yet borne results because technologically, cost-wise, or let's say who will use it, it's still not something that we have been able to achieve. Coming to that, when India has said that we have aspirations to be net zero, which year? 2070, I guess. 2070, India wants to be net zero. It's just ambition, and without these things, without green hydrogen and allied things, we won't be able to do that. Now, what is 2047? When we talk about 2047, what all we talk about? We say that economy will be 30 trillion, will be second largest economy. Which will be first? And I'm talking on PPP terms. Which will be first? China. And US will be third actually. So this is the projections show that we will be second, China will be first, and we will be second. US will be third. Manufacturing will be 7.5 trillion. 12 times it should grow. By 47, it should grow 12 times. So we are in 25. We have what? 22 more years to grow. And we want to grow 12 times, whereas you compare from 91, we had grown 8 times. Now we want to grow 12 times. So this is the thing that we need. GDP share, we want 25%. We want more than 15 crore people to be employed in manufacturing. Today the number is significantly less. This is the vision and direction in which all of us want to go. Now, what are the global tectonic shifts? Again, you can add, tell me, what is changing in the world? So earlier when we started, when I was preparing for UPSC exam long back, let's say 2005 and all, globalization was the order of the day and WTO and everything was going. But things changed. Last 5, 7, 10 years, things have started changing. What are the shifts?
So AI, like Gen AI team, agentic AI.
ठीक है बताओ ये agentic AI होती क्या है?
Agentic AI are the algorithms that are able to like interpret and even take decisions.
Okay.
And even agentic AI control different agents for different activities parallelly. So if you, like it acts as an orchestrator.
Okay. Point taken. लेकिन अगर मैं global tectonic shift की बात करूँ तो शायद agentic AI is a model, ठीक है. But global, when I'm talking, so let me give a cue. China plus one we were talking about before. Now it's still, let's say, what was China plus one, by the way?
After COVID, companies or the nations, they understood the volatility of the global supply chain. So they wanted, by that time, most of the countries or the companies, they were heavily reliant on China's manpower. So after this COVID, they realized that it should not be concentrated only on China, and they wanted to diversify their supply chain. They started looking for other opportunities, which India was one of the opportunities.
Very true. When globalization was going full blown and China was doing wonders, everybody was producing in China, and or let's say even this Foxconn or different manufacturing things, they always wanted to manufacture in China because China was cheaper and China had technology and it was very easy to set up companies in China. But slowly they started doing China plus one because they started realizing, especially before COVID and with Xi Jinping and different policies, everybody realized that one fine day China may say no. And then what happens? So China plus one came. Why was it advantageous for India?
If you compare China with the advantages China had with any other country, India was the next possible best alternative for other countries.
Perfect. India was the best possible alternatives. And India was also in the global order, Western order, global democratic Western order, India fits in better than, let's say, China or many other countries. So even the global world order would want India to prosper and be aligned with how things are developing. It was also a counter to China. So India was looked preferably by many companies in China plus one policy. What is friend shoring? something started which people started calling friendshoring. What is friendshoring? The name gives it away.
Relying on tried and tested partners from the
Tried and tested, basically friends. So countries started realizing that it's not the WTO norms and the best price only. I need to have my supply chain with friendly countries as well, so that in case something goes wrong, I still continue to get my supply. So friendshoring was a thing which started coming up in discussions, and supply chains started getting realigned according to that. Then ESG scrutiny started coming up, this carbon border adjustment mechanism, and different other aspects coming up. So these things have started. 20 years back, 30 years back, these things were not which a manufacturing industry needed to consider. Whereas today, these are the things which are quite, you can say, ingrained in if a manufacturer wants to sustain. Because you have to show, you have to. So what should a manufacturer need to see? Today, I think there was an article today or yesterday which talked about different grades of carbon emission which a person needs to see.
Carbon footprint.
Carbon footprint. What all carbon footprint? So let's say I'm a manufacturer. What all do I need to keep record of? One can be, I'll give you the first one. First, I can keep a count of the carbon emission that I am doing. So I can keep a note, and because I'll have to report it, and even in I think top 1,000 companies, in SEBI listed companies are reporting it. You have to. So one, you can report that this is the carbon emission that I am doing, my carbon footprint. And what?
Scope 2 and Scope 3.
Scope 1 emission. What is Scope 2?
Scope 2 would be that whatever prior to the upstream of whatever the process you have, when that is like those logistics.
What you buy.
I think, yeah. So what you buy from outside, Yes. What you are buying, and also there is coming up. You also have to see the Scope 3, basically the entire supply chain, entire value chain. So when you report your carbon emission, or the carbon footprint, you have to factor in all and report that this is, and based on which you may be taxed in certain countries, especially in EU and multiple other places. So these are the worries that have started coming, and this is how the world has started changing. Now let us talk, and we have been hearing this, and what are the different levers that a manufacturer or this manufacturer should use or think about? I'm not sure how should they do, but how or what they should do. So again, we talk about big words. What is a digital twin?
So the physical model which will help you to simulate the results like which you want to do with uncertainty for the parameters that you are planning to do without going into the physical model.
Perfect. So digital twin is basically, you can say, of a digital copy of the physical thing that you have, and you try to see the simulations and all. So you put in devices, you put in different, let's say, measuring devices in the actual machine, and you will know what the vibration is coming, what is the level of the oil, and your virtual machine can actually simulate everything that may go wrong, and it will help you in predictive maintenance. It can tell you that if you don't basically now change oil or do this, your machine will break down. So you have a digital twin, and now we are talking of digital twins of entire cities and entire, you can say, you have a question? You can. So it's basically a digital copy of what it has been, what the physical product has. Now, in digital twins and use of IoT and different other things, there is also a term which is quite commonly known, especially in the parlance of World Economic Forum. It is called lighthouses. Anybody would want to tell what is a lighthouse?
Actually, earlier it was lights out, and then they changed it to lighthouse.
Okay. Okay. So, what is a lighthouse?
It's a fully automated industry. Like you can take HUL in Assam, which is the lighthouse in that sector, because they make everything digitally. Limited use of manpower. It will be fully automated. It can run at full efficiency.
So perfect. Basically, it's just an idea in IoT that this is the, you can say this is the ideal thing, perfect place for use of IoT. So they designed some benchmarks and they started saying that these are the lighthouses which you should see and emulate and follow, if I remember correctly. Probably there are six factories or six places in India which have been turned.
Last year another 4 got added.
So now the number may be 10, but it's basically a place where you can go, and as in Lighthouse shows the direction, so basically these are showing direction to the companies where they can go on IoT. And you have to understand and you have to realize what is useful for you and what is not, because to control quality, to control your maintenance, to control different aspects, we can do that. Achha, again coming back, and and I think some speaker was mentioning here that tractors are connected and they talk to. Why now? Why it was not happening before? And when we talk about, let's say, IoT, okay, so let's also define what is IoT.
Internet of Things.
So what does it mean?
Connecting physical devices to digitalization that we are turning.
Sensors connected to.
मुझे समझ में मतलब साधारण भाषा में बताइए.
Sensors connected.
क्या होती है?
Sensors connected to the machine which sends the live data to the some controller or.
See, let us Internet of Things. So now, what is Internet? What are things?
The sensors are the things, and these are connected to the directly.
So let's take his example. He said tractors are connected and on cloud, and then. So what is things here? Tractors. And what is it? What are they doing?
They are doing the operations of the productivity.
Okay. And why we were not able to do this before?
Technology was.
Technology nahi thi. So today all you can sit at here and all ACs may be connected, and if you allow Hitachi, it will turn off the AC of your home because it knows that so many ACs are running in the world where nobody is sitting, and I will turn it off because you have given me permission. And so basically things connect and they start talking to each other. For example, great example that he was giving, you can operate. So tractor, let's say, tractor will tell that I am alone here doing so much work, please send 4 more tractors, and this message will go. And so these apparatus start talking to each other. What happens in shop floor, for example, you have a lathe machine. So in lathe machine, again, you can connect, a factory may have, let's say, 100 lathe machines. You can connect all of them, and then they will start giving signal to the server that my load is this, I will finish in this much time. So now how much more or less you can give it to me and how it will grow. So these things were not there before. Again, you have to understand whether you should use it or not. Some things will bring value, some things may not. So this has to be understood, but unless people use it, it will not be beneficial. I'm running out of, sure. Okay, so we will rush.
I think important to call out that the cost of technology has gone down. The sensors which were costing earlier, maybe it was more easier to deploy 10 people and say when the tractor is off and on, versus the cost of technology. It has significantly gone down in last few years, which enables this ecosystem.
Perfect, Shivin. So agreed. Next, about sustainability, we have talked about, so I think we will not spend much time here. We have understood what is the issue of sustainability. Supply chain agility, again we have talked. So how supply chains you have to realign, and you have to think, this person has to think from where his raw material is coming from, where his costs can be reduced. And during COVID, this became a major vulnerability for most people because we suddenly realized that supply chain is important. Then operational excellence, and coming to, again, related to IoT and different other aspects, that whether you are having this excellence or not, and are you reducing cost or not. Then skilling, whether your people are able to do that or not. So again a question, what is a cobot? Collaborative robot. So today when we talk about Industry 5.0, basically we say it's not only machines, basically people who work with machines, and hence we will have things like that. So you have to skill your manpower who can use cross-functional fluency, who can use human tech sector. And then entrepreneurship, just to understand what you should use, what you should not, and things that you can do, whether your intellectual property is safe, is protected or not, whether your design is good or not. That's how you can complete. But there are human things that technology still can't replace. Whatever AI may do, whatever agentic AI may do, you still have to have people who will give leadership, people who have to give communication, ethics, emotional intelligence, and that leaders like you will have to have. You need to talk to people, you need to work with people. And Industry 5.0 came because there were criticisms of Industry 4.0. We were having lighthouses, but we can't forget the people who were there. And that's how emotional intelligence comes. Now what his factory can become, and remember the person, his factory could be 100 times the size. Manufacturing is growing 10 times the size, 12 times the size, and many will perish. Many will perish during this, and people who treat it right will grow, and the same has happened in China. It's not that it has not happened. So many entrepreneurs in China who came in 20, 30 years have grown tremendously in size. This person can grow 100 times, but he has to increase his productivity, he has to have a resilient supply chain, he has to use technology, invest in skilling, understand operations, and this isn't fantasy, this can be done in 2047. The factory has to be net zero, it will be AI driven, it will be clean, it will have global clients. But are you ready? And you are the leaders, are you getting ready for it? Are you preparing yourself for it? So assess, set goals, you can develop skills, you should plan ahead. 2047 will happen, India will develop, and everybody is giving it a very good chance. You can be at the right place. I would say you are in a very good course, you are at the right place. This is the time that India changes. Be a part of it and be prepared. Thank you.